It's okay, we've been here before. Carry on the light, they won't know it hurts more. We can pull apart time, this will last forever. You should learn to be kind, it always ends in fire. It's okay, we've been here before. Carry on the light, they won't know it hurts more. It's okay, we've been here before. Carry on the light, they won't know it hurts more.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the HP Podcast, episode number 356. I'm Ben, and with me here today are we're finally back after, okay, I said finally, we only took 1 week off for the first time in 5 years. Anyway, the boys, the beautiful boys. Let's start with the American, Brandon.
Hello, I am an American.
We had the American Thanksgiving last week, which I personally failed to remember what week it was and schedule appropriately. So we had a last minute cancellation of the show for the first time in years, as I mentioned earlier. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was so good, man. Very busy. The food, insane. Absolutely insane. I think it took me a couple days this year. I don't know if it's just me getting older, but I feel like I felt the Thanksgiving joy, if you know what I mean, for multiple days after the holiday had passed. But yeah, it was fantastic. Got to see friends, got to see family, had a lot of days off around it. Scheduling is always hard when you have to go a couple places, but it worked out. It did work out. So
Nice.
how was yours?
It was okay. I had my in-laws or my wife's side of the family over to our house, and then the next day with my side of the family, we actually just went out to eat.
Ooh.
Instead of like everybody cooking, and then we came back to my parents' house for dessert and hung out and watched a little football and some old home videos as well. My dog was sick all last week though, so that
Still?
kind of, well, it was just last week.
Well, but is he better?
Yeah, he's better now.
Okay, good.
Yeah. We did end up taking him to the vet on Saturday because he was like not wanting to drink or anything, and they just gave him some fluids, but he got better.
Jesus.
Must have just been a stomach bug or something.
Yeah.
He's totally fine now. And he walked downstairs yesterday and looked out the sunroom window and saw there was snow outside and just started going crazy. He was so excited to get out and play with it. So that was good. And definitely just, you could tell he was feeling better as opposed to how he was just laying there for days. So
Yeah.
but yeah, everything was good. Just a little stressful in some regards, but not in the only in the dog regard. In the social, friends, family kind of area, it was totally fine.
Good. Good. Yeah, I would say one of the standouts this year. Sometimes you have you kind of deviate from the typical Thanksgiving festivities or indulgences. And I would say a notable and very interesting addition this year to one of my Thanksgivings was the addition of a fondue platter.
Yeah, nice.
Cheese or chocolate?
Cheese, apples, celery, and meats.
Wow. Okay.
Kind of a little bit of a smorgasbord. 3 different kinds of apples. That was one of the things I brought. They didn't specify what kind of apples, and so I found the ones with the coolest name. They just said 2 red and 1 green. And I had no idea there were so many apples available to the public. Not a big fruit guy, apparently. But it was great. It was great. I'm not much of a fondue guy myself. We have something called the Melting Pot that's around here. I think is it a chain?
Yeah,
Is it a chain?
it is a chain.
Had never been.
I don't
to
think
that.
it's like a big chain. There's like a few in bigger cities, but
Yeah, it's
it
like
is a
a
chain.
chain with a couple of links. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'd never done that either. So this was kind of like my first soiree into the whole melted cheese, specifically for the dipping. So
We I think a couple years ago we went to Fogo de Chao, a Brazilian steakhouse, for Thanksgiving or for Christmas. I can't remember which one. And then this year we did that. I had 0 turkey all across Thanksgiving, which was wonderful. And then this year we went to Red Robin, actually. It's great because it's relatively inexpensive as far as like going to any restaurant goes, fast cat or slow casual. Is that a thing? Not upscale or anything. Like there's something that everybody's going to want to eat. The kids are super happy, infinite fries and sides and drinks and stuff like that. And I don't know, I got it out of there with a family of 4 for like $60. So great deal.
that ain't too bad. That's how much you spend at McDonald's.
Yeah, exactly.
More.
Like literally 40 if I haven't been there. And well, I mentioned that one time I almost stopped in and saw that 2 cheeseburger meal was $10 or $11. And I said, nah, I'm good. But yeah, it was good. Now, Dave, you had Thanksgiving in your country, and you foreigners had it like a month ago. Is that right? Was it like in October? Or
Yeah,
September?
it's like the second. It's in early October, so it's
Okay.
almost like 6 weeks before your Thanksgiving.
I'm sure that you and probably many people around the world know like the American Thanksgiving story. Everybody knows about the Indians and the Pilgrims and whether that's real or made up. We can discuss some other time. But what is the Canadian Thanksgiving centered around? That's not a jab. That's a legitimate question.
That is a good question because I don't know the answer to it. Not that
Oh.
it wouldn't be a good question if I did know the answer to it, but I always thought it was kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
But because of the British, like we kind of aligned with their Thanksgiving, which they don't have Thanksgiving. I don't know.
I don't think they have Thanksgiving, do they?
Yeah, I don't know. But I always
Did you
thought
just
it was.
did you guys just feel jealous? Now that was a jab.
It
Just so you know.
was. I think it goes back to a coming together with the indigenous people. So the Europeans and the indigenous coming together, having
Yeah.
a meal, and it just kind of sprung from that. And I think that's the same as the Americans.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're at different times. I've always said that it seems weird to me that the American Thanksgiving is so close to Christmas, but I've kind of taken a bit of a different perspective in that it's not two separate holidays close together, but it's kind of like Thanksgiving kicks off the holiday season and it concludes with New Year's Day.
Yeah.
So I'm opening up a little bit more, but I enjoy what you got. I thank you for Black Friday. I thank you for football, 2 extra days of the week. And, yeah, so it was much, and I didn't really celebrate this year, but there is one thing, that I did have around our Thanksgiving that I meant to speak to you guys about because we had this conversation. It was, I had pumpkin pie for the first time. I don't remember if we discussed this, but
No, I don't think so.
pretty disappointed in pumpkin pie. Maybe I had a bad one, but
I've had really good ones and really bad ones, so who
Yeah.
knows? Or maybe you
And-
just don't like pumpkin pie. It's
maybe
possible.
I guess it's supposed to be served with whipped cream, and I didn't have it with that, so maybe that. But it was just kind of like the pumpkin texture, like that flavor I like in some settings, but in that texture in a pie, just kind of the crust was the favorite thing, which means that I didn't really enjoy the pie part of the experience. So
Yeah. I can understand that. I've had very good pumpkin pies. I've had other ones that I did not enjoy so much. Apple pie is also very big around Thanksgiving, which I don't know why, because apples, like, they're a fall thing, I guess, but they're not really a winter thing. Whereas pumpkins are pretty late in the stinking season. So
yeah.
I think probably the reason that the Canadian Thanksgiving is at a different time is just because of the time zones. And it's like time zones are always different in foreign countries. So that probably makes sense.
Was it homemade or store bought?
It was store bought.
That would be why.
Well,
Okay,
not
so you gotta make it
necessarily.
yourself?
I've had bad homemade ones too.
No. But I'm saying the likelihood of me with no other evidence of him saying that it's store bought and it being bad. Now you could have a good store bought one too, but the chances of that happening, I feel like, are exponentially higher that it's bad from a store.
So can I ask, do you make your own pumpkin pie, Brandon?
I personally don't, but everybody in my family does. I'm not much of a baker.
Okay, so when they make their pumpkin pie, do they just buy the canned pumpkin and put that in, or are they actually using like straight from a pumpkin, pureeing it? Like, what's the process there?
I think that most people that make pumpkin pie do not go through the incredibly tedious process of making their own
Okay.
pumpkin. Because
De-seeding
No,
it.
not making the pumpkin, but getting a pumpkin. You know?
well, like making the pumpkin from a gourd into a usable thing in a pie. That process is incredibly tedious. It's like puff pastry.
Okay.
Even the bakeries around here, it's so tedious to make puff pastry, and it costs so much more than actually just buying it, even whether that be in the time investment or the cost investment, that most people don't do that. And it probably, if you don't do it right, it would probably even taste worse than out of a can. If you put the right stuff with canned pumpkin, it's great.
So it is canned pumpkin, is what you're saying. Is even in a homemade pumpkin pie, you're using canned pumpkin, because I think the thing I struggled with was the texture of that pumpkin. The way it's pureed like that, couldn't do it.
Well,
That's
then
what
you-
I had difficulty with.
Well, then, if it wasn't a flavor thing, then I would assume that of all the things a store-bought would bring, the texture would probably be similar throughout any sort of variant, unless it's really fucked up from a store one. So I think it's probably pretty safe to say that you don't really like pumpkin pie.
All right.
I'm
I'm glad I tried it. I mean, you guys
Yeah,
sold it pretty well,
I
and-
mean, it's okay that you're wrong, but it's amazing. But I'm also a bit of a purist. I don't do the whole whipped cream either. People do that to just add more sugar to it, and I say why. It's perfect the way it is. Just like both of you joining me on this podcast today, perfect just the way you are. Although I would put whipped cream on you two and not a pumpkin pie and lick it off, but
Yeah,
I digress.
that all adds up.
This has been riveting.
I missed you guys though. Sorry, I wanted to say something.
I just completely took all of the air out of the room with you guys, and then you're both like scrambling, like,
No, but I did want to say that to Ben's point about like we haven't missed like some of us, like Brandon missed a couple weeks ago, and I've missed a couple shows, and Ben's missed a couple shows, but last week was the first time that we actually didn't have a show, and I'm not being nice, I'm not being funny. I legitimately missed you guys, and I missed chat, and I was thinking about, like, on Friday, it was like, something didn't happen this week, I missed something, and I'm yearning, and it feels weird, and I realized it was because we didn't do the podcast.
It was the pod.
Yeah.
And it's
so,
back, baby. It's back, baby.
Good to see you guys. Good to see chat.
And we're running out of time for the New Year's resolution, boys, so
Who's still got one open?
Yeah, we're all good, man.
I was
All
just
green.
stating a fact about the time of year.
I think
Nothing
we
else.
finished them all already, like
We did.
a month ago or 2 months ago, maybe.
Just ruin all the mystery for people that aren't listening every week. Okay.
It's like, I can't wait for that recap show to see how David fucked up this year. It's like, no, we're good.
No one's gonna listen now because spoiler alert, Ben. We did them all.
I'm not writing the
Cut
apology
this shit.
letter.
Cut this shit. Cut this shit right now. Cut it out of the podcast. Start
Well,
over.
in my opinion, if Dave's last one that he had remaining was to have Gran Turismo be the most played game on his PlayStation. But in my opinion, if he plays another game and gets more hours on it than GT, that resolution reverts to unfinished.
Yeah, if I play 30 seconds of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, then
It'll bump him over the list.
screwed, yeah.
No, I didn't mean anything else. I mean, like, if you have like 100 hours in GT and 99 in Odyssey, and you play an hour of Odyssey, you gotta put more time into GT.
The year's not over. Anything can happen. I doubt that'll happen, but you're right.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm starting to think. So you were talking about missing chat. I didn't miss these people at all, for what it's worth.
So rude. So rude.
But Derek came in and said, Thanksgiving pies in my family are pumpkin, apple, pecan, and never really liked any of them. A couple weeks ago, he said he didn't like Creed or Reliant K or a couple bands. I think that was when Brandon wasn't here because his computer exploded. I think there might have been some discussion about him not liking a lot of different types of Pop-Tarts. I'm starting to think this person's entire identity is solely Nintendo. Like, there's nothing else interesting about Derek other than that they like Nintendo. Does anybody feel that? Am I alone?
No food, dude. No food. All things that are good.
My spirit has aligned with Derek over the past year. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but our love of Borderlands, our love of Metroid, a couple other things, it's been a blossoming romance that I've embraced. So
Yeah, you guys embrace mid pretty hard. I get it.
Speaking of gentlemen, my computer exploding. Here's the culprit. You guys ready? Everyone's gonna love this in the non-video chat. There it is. There's the culprit. Piece of shit.
It's been totally good since then.
Since it's not been in my computer, yes, it's been great.
Yeah.
It's been sitting on my desk and everything's been wonderful.
We should shoot it or something, like Americans.
That's not a bad idea. It does have my data on it, so
Didn't you get any of it off there?
I couldn't.
Can you get like a external reader and just copy it all over?
I'm gonna get an NVMe enclosure and try and get some shit off of it if I can. But at the end of the day, nothing I want on there is that dire.
What is really on there besides video games?
Photos.
Oh, that's fair.
That's literally the only thing I want, and it's like photos from PSX, photos from PAX, like all of that. And to be honest with you, all my family stuff, like, whatever, I'll remember it. But like,
You know what I do, and I'm not going to guarantee this is a foolproof system entirely. I upload all my photos to Google Photos. As a matter of fact, I have the app on my phone. It just automatically uploads them. It stores them in a actually, I have like a grandfathered plan, but I think if you have a newer plan, it was free up to like a couple years ago. And now if you go over a certain amount of photos, it's a certain amount of dollars. It uploads them in a slightly lower quality, but I figure like that's a great fail safe. Like I have all my kids like baby photos and stuff on there. And okay, if they're at 1080 instead of 4K, but my house burns down, at least they're still in the cloud in some respect,
Right.
So a little suggestion for everybody. I think Amazon Photos has something like that too. AWS, notoriously reliable,
Yeah, there's
except for a couple weeks ago.
nothing ever wrong with that. Having 1/3 of the entire internet traffic on one service. Nothing could ever go wrong with that.
Right, exactly.
Ask me how I know.
Yeah. But anyway, that might just be something to think about. Just uploading your stuff somewhere else that you could access it, even if it's a lower quality version, in case, your computer explodes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, a memory is way more important to me than a photo. In fact, I don't even usually look at them. I think it's just comforting to know that I have them.
Yeah, but what if you get kicked in the head by a horse and you don't have the memories either? What if those photos are the only thing that could save your memory?
I think that sometimes it's okay to let things happen the way they're supposed to.
Well, then just throw the hard drive away.
Good call.
I have a quick correction. Derek O says, I love Creed and Pop-Tarts. Quit the slander. I was using those as examples of you hating on things, okay?
Honestly, I'm starting to question the reliability of your account if he now is saying that he doesn't like Creed and Pop Tarts, because that was like
Check the
two of
tapes. Check the tapes.
I don't know, man. I'm just saying I'm being presented with factual
Listen,
information in the chat.
To be fair, I said Creed or Reliant K or something, and I also said some kind of Pop Tarts. I didn't say all Pop Tarts. So we can both be right here. This
I
is
don't
the
know,
HP podcast, and I'm sick of it already. It's
I hate you guys. Dave said he was happy to be back. I hate you.
You can support us over on patreon.com/handsomephantom for as little as $1 a month if you'd like. You can get ad-free early access to the audio version of the show. And if you're watching on video, whether live on Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern or later, we appreciate it. You can also just help support us with that $1 a month. We would appreciate that. You can go higher than that if you want, but you don't need to. You can also join us on Discord if you'd like at handsomephantom.com/Discord. Should we talk about something video game related now?
Sure.
Yes.
Polygon reports CD Projekt Red insists it can get the next Witcher trilogy out in a 6-year window. I'm going to put a heavy doubt on it right away. Just right away. The Witcher 4 is not expected before 2027, which would put its release more than 6 years after the last full release by CD Projekt Red, 2020's Cyberpunk 2077. But the proposed timeline suggests a sequel just 3 years later and another 3 years after that. This extremely ambitious development plan was first announced in 2022 in a long-term strategy update from CD Projekt that also included plans for the sequel to Cyberpunk 2077, several Witcher spin-offs, and a new franchise. But it's surprising to hear the publisher/developer sticking to its guns on the idea, given the current reality of AAA game development. GTA 6 is scheduled to be released 8 years after Rockstar Games' previous effort, Red Dead Redemption 2, while Naughty Dog hasn't released a full new game since 2020, and its next title, Intergalactic, is likely still years away. Even previously annual franchises like Assassin's Creed have slowed down the rate of new releases considerably. But CD Projekt's co-CEO seems confident the studio switch to Unreal Engine 5 development, notoriously totally fine, will allow it to speed up its work considerably. In a recent Q&A, he told investors that the studio was very happy with what it had achieved in UE5 already, how Epic's engine was progressing, and how the studio was getting to grips with it. Now, if you ask Tim Sweeney, they're doing too much for what Unreal can hold. You know, it's all the developer's fault. Why Unreal sometimes has some stutters and some glitches. Anyway, I'm just in one of those moods right now where I don't want to be nice to anybody, give anybody the benefit of the doubt, really, except for you two. You're the only people. Dave, what do you make of this? Do you think it's possible? Do you think it'll be good if they do it? And are you excited about new Witcher games?
I am excited for the new Witcher game. I've almost started Wild Hunts for a second time, several times, but never made it happen. But the 6-year thing caught me off guard at first, but then when I kind of went back and looked in The Witcher 1 to The Witcher 3, that was about an 8-year period. So, 2007 to 2015. So not crazy, but I mean, the difference here is scale and expectations, which when you think about what expectations were like for The Witcher 2 as an example when it came out versus The Witcher 4, whole different ballgame. The other thing that is really funny about this is, remember, the Cyberpunk release drama, the delay after delay after delay, and we're like, you know what, CD Projekt Red, next time you guys have a game coming out, like, just don't tell us a release date, just wait until you're really ready. And they clearly haven't learned from that, because they're like, we're gonna release 3 Witcher games in a 6-year period, and that is not the direction they should be going. So I think this is odd to come out and say this so publicly. Now, they're not necessarily committing to that, but it seems like it's their vision. And, it even with the scale and expectations that we should be seeing for the next 3 games, I don't think it's really out of the realm of possibility, especially if these 3 games are being developed concurrently, sort of like the Matrix and the Avatar movies were made kind of all at the same time and then released in sort of a fairly short time frame.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings. And I think the way that, like, sort of the technological landscape that we're dealing with now, it's not that crazy to develop a game in 2025 that's going to release in 2032, because technologically, the hardware you're using, the software engine you're using, that kind of stuff, is it going to be that much different? I feel like things kind of scale at a slower rate now than they did, if you were to develop a game in 2010 that was going to come out in 2020, when your comes out, it's going to be super dated. But today, I think you could probably get away with that. So I don't think this is that absurd, but I really hope that CD Projekt Red has learned something about announcing release dates from Cyberpunk. But in any case, I'm really excited for Witcher 4. It sounds like we're not going to get it until 2027, but hopefully we won't have to wait too long for the rest of them. So, yeah, I don't know. Get to work and give us something good because we need it. And I still need to watch... I need to finish the Witcher TV series. I watched half of the second season and then just kind of fell off. I know it's kind of gone in a weird direction, but still loved that show a lot. So.
I think I need to play The Witcher 3. I never played it.
Oh,
You do.
I know.
And the DLCs.
Yeah, you're right. I do. Maybe if I start now, I can get done before The Witcher 4.
yeah, I would hope so.
Brandon, I know you're a big Witcher 3 fan. You
Yeah.
actually let me borrow your physical copy at one point, the one with the map inside of it.
Oh, yeah.
I gave it back at some point because I ended up getting it on Steam for very cheap. I still have not played it. But
Shame.
tell me about your expectations.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is good, and I think this is kind of like more of a signaling thing than a steadfast thing. I do tend to agree with Dave when it comes to being a little bit weary of their approach to this statement, even if it isn't something that's concrete, only because they have faltered significantly in the past with really tight release windows. Something that I think looks good on paper does not always turn out so good whenever you get to the brass tacks of it. So I just hope they really focus on the quality of the product instead of trying to push it out as soon as possible. I also agree with Dave, just almost wholly on what he said, but that I would imagine they're taking like a multi-release approach where they're working on many things at once. I just hope that doesn't in turn make the end product suffer. Now, even though they have faltered in the past with games like Cyberpunk, it cannot be understated how talented of a studio and development team CD Projekt Red is. Even if they aren't the best at optimizing their games, the caliber of the content they put in there is not in question. We just can't have games coming out that are buggy, broken messes. And I would never want them to stick to a time frame just for the sake of it being most profitable. You will gain the most profit and the most goodwill over a long period of time by putting out the best product possible. And that is proof by Witcher 3. Absolutely proof by Witcher 3. That game sold for years and years and years because
Yeah, but it was a mess when it came out.
Honestly, if the next Witcher game comes out in the state of the first, or I'm sorry, Witcher 3, I would take that over Cyberpunk. I'm not saying it's good or acceptable, but they just need to not have another disastrous experience like they did with Cyberpunk. I think they were also a little bit gimped by the hardware that they were trying to put it on. That was a time right before the PS5. But that's not really an excuse. If you make promises, you have to follow through with them. And I don't necessarily see this as a promise. I see this as this is what we're trying to do. But I hope they don't continue to double down on this sort of thought, because the more you try and fit something into a mold, the more you're worried about the time frame and less the quality of what you're trying to put out. They have the talent, is what I'm saying. They just can't box themselves in.
Yeah. Brandon, you mentioned about The Witcher 3, and it had a lot of problems at the beginning, but I don't think it was like terrible. It was just, it had some problems.
It's a little jank. It's a little jank, right?
But Cyberpunk undoubtedly has made back its money and much more. But Cyberpunk was very bad when it released, and it was almost immediately discounted everywhere. And by the end of the year it came out in, I got it for $10, I think, for the deluxe edition from Best Buy. And it got better. They put out expansions, they charged for it, whatever. But think about how much more money and how much longer of a tail that game would have had it been good at release. To your point.
Yeah, and I think that Cyberpunk had a unique advantage with the show coming out.
Yeah.
And just the culture surrounding it. That's a very popular genre of media or pop culture in general. So I think it had some advantages, but no one can deny that Cyberpunk quite literally came out in a completely broken state.
Yeah.
I never felt worse suggesting my dad a game than that because I knew he would like it, and he did love it. But whenever it came out, he was showing me it on his PS4, and I think at that time I had a PS5 and
You
I was
did,
playing
yeah.
it, and I said, "Dad, just wait. I'm sorry I suggested this to you. I know you got this game, but it literally is a broken experience. Like it's not even salvageable." And this is me suggesting that to a man who really doesn't even care about that stuff, and he was complaining about it. So that's kind of to drive home the point of like how fucked it was. And anyone who's listening to the show probably knows that by now, but they can have another Witcher 3 launch. I don't want them to do that, but they just have to be very careful about not overpromising on these time frames because take as much time as you need. I feel like that's a very common sentiment right now is that gamers understand, I know there's the whole GTA 6 thing, everyone's bitching, but ultimately when it comes out, it's going to be better. It was delayed and it took 10 years, but like people don't want to buy broken shit. People don't want to do the CD Projekt Red gimmick where it's good in a year or two, or the Sean Murray with the No Man's Sky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people are smart enough now that they would rather just wait, even if they bitch. At the end of the day, people just want a good product. And
I wonder if I'm getting off topic now, but I wonder if No Man's Sky has actually benefited in the long term from what happened to them. Like think about games come out, even if they're great games, very rarely do you get one that people still talk about 10 years later. We have Skyrim, we have The Witcher, we have a few others that like in recent memory. But No Man's Sky has continued to put out updates and sell and be talked about in a good regard because it was so broken and they fixed it. In reality, we should still be mad at them, and probably we still are to some extent, for putting out a broken game. But I bet they've actually sold more copies and made more money off that game in the long run from it being bad than if it were good in the first place.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I half agree because I don't think No Man's Sky's success was larger because it was broken at the beginning. Because if that game came out and in the first 5 years it got better, people would not be playing it 10 years later. The reason that it's so good and that it's sold so much is because they've consistently been updating it for 10 years. And
Right.
not that, I guess the
But half of those
distinction-
updates they wouldn't have had to add if they had been there like they promised in the beginning, is what I'm saying.
I suppose you're right there, but I guess what I'm saying is that I think it's twofold. I like half agree with you where yes, I think it did help it in some ways, but also like I cannot discredit the massive amount of generosity where they actually went above and beyond the original product.
I
And
wonder
that's been
how
happening
much
for 10 years.
Yeah. I wonder how much of that generosity was driven by we have to continue to make this good or people will never trust us again.
Yeah, I
Which
mean,
doesn't matter why someone's generous. If they're generous, right? But
right. And I guess when you continually get new people buying it for 10 years, that also does motivate you to continue to put money into it.
yeah. Anything else, boys, on this one? This is from GameSpot. Nintendo has bought a studio from Bandai Namco. After previously working with Bandai Namco Studio in Singapore on Splatoon 3, Nintendo has revealed that a deal has been struck to bring that developer in-house. Nintendo made the announcement online, which notes that it will own 80% of Bandai Namco Studio Singapore by April of 2026, per its agreement with Bandai Namco. The remaining 20% of the Singapore studio will be purchased at a later date, quote, once the subsidiary's operations have stabilized, end quote. The new name will be Nintendo Studio Singapore, very original. Nintendo also announced that the studio was chosen for acquisition because it has an ongoing business relationship with Nintendo, and the publisher wanted to strengthen its internal development structure. Bandai, excuse me, I don't know what's going on. Bandai Namco Studio Singapore's collaborations with Nintendo included Mario Sports Superstars and new Pokemon Snap. It's also rumored to have been involved with Bandai Namco's version of Metroid Prime 4 before the game was completely redeveloped by Retro Studios in 2019. This deal doesn't appear to mean Bandai Namco is putting itself up for sale. Earlier this year, they struck a $463 million deal with Sony for approximately 2.5% of the company. Bandai retains some of the biggest franchises in gaming, including Elden Ring, Tekken, and Pac-Man. However, the company has also disclosed that a former employee allegedly embezzled so much money that its executives had to take a pay cut. I didn't remember that story at all
Jesus
happening,
Christ.
but that was back in July, apparently, that they disclosed that. Brandon, interesting, I think.
Yeah.
You wouldn't
Yeah.
expect a Bandai studio to become a Nintendo studio, but here we are.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting. I think that a lot of companies, in lieu of the past 3 or 4 years, have really been trying to trim the fat, so to speak. And I think when you have a company that already is very heavily working with someone like Nintendo, someone that has very deep pockets, I'm sure they got a fat check from Nintendo. And so for Bandai Namco, this was probably just a no-brainer if we already have them working on things for them. I'm sure the money was very enticing here, and I would rather see this sort of acquisition every day of the week as opposed to a studio like this getting shut down. Because that's the reality of things that happen now, is
Yeah.
entire sections of studios around the world will just be taken out. And so this is actually good, because not only were they already working on the products from Nintendo or very closely with Nintendo, but now they're under a giant, incredibly successful mega corporation. So,
Dave, how do you feel?
Elden Ring 2, Nintendo exclusive confirmed, right?
I mean, that could happen.
if you ever say that again, I will jump through the screen and find the true meaning of Thanksgiving in Canada. I will. I will.
Yeah, but I mean, you think of Bandai Namco and like your brain instantly goes to Elden Ring, Dark Souls, which is like a behemoth of an IP, and it's hard to think of the company that kind of owns the publishing rights to those games as potentially being in a situation where they have to sell off assets. But you look at some of the other IP that they own the video game distribution or publishing rights to, and you kind of think to yourself, those don't sound like cheap properties. So like there's One Piece, Dragon Ball, Naruto, there's 3 to name off. And, I know those have video games attached to them, but I don't know that any of them have been like critical and commercial successes. And when you look at kind of some of the other games that Bandai Namco has published over like the ages of video games, like they are far removed from their biggest successes that aren't Dark Souls and Elden Ring. So, you throw in this scandal with like employee embezzlement, and you kind of throw in the fact that they own the publishing rights to a lot of things that aren't cheap things to have publishing rights for, and they don't seem to be selling a whole lot of games. So, I'm not here to say Bandai Namco's in trouble, but it does seem odd that they have a studio in Singapore that's doing really good things for Nintendo, and Nintendo's eating them up. So maybe they need some quick cash, some liquid assets to kind of get them through. But from a Nintendo perspective, this seems to make a lot of sense. As you kind of mentioned in the article, this studio has worked with Nintendo quite a bit. And when you look at some of the ways that Nintendo has positioned the Switch 2 with online services, social services, that kind of thing, maybe they see Splatoon or something like Splatoon as having a big part of their future, so they want to keep the studio that kind of worked on that property. So I'm happy for the studio, as Brandon said. Like, we talk so much about studios getting shut down, but when Nintendo picks up a studio like this, I think it's a really nice story. So yeah, I hope everything's okay with Bandai Namco, because they make some good games. But
Well,
yeah, it was interesting kind of going through their lineage, and yeah, there's Pac-Man, and yeah, there's the old Tekken games and stuff like that, but there's not a lot between the late 90s and now, other than the FromSoft stuff. So
Yeah. Well, in relation to how Bandai Namco is doing, 2025, their stock price has I don't want to say almost doubled. It's probably like 25% increased since the beginning of 2025. So I don't think they're necessarily hurting, but I think if this is a It is on the a slight downward trend towards the end of the year, but I don't think they're hurting that much. This is
Yeah, I
just,
mean, the three of us, we think of Bandai Namco as a video game company, but Bandai has their fingers in like almost every industry. Maybe not all of them in Western society, but they own a lot of properties and sell a lot of things that aren't video games and make a ton of money. I mean, the trading card market alone, they're huge in the miniatures market, Gundam, all that kind of stuff. They're really big into. So
they're diverse.
they're
Yes,
very
okay.
diverse. I think to their detriment to some extent, because I think when we think about them as far as video games, we're like, well, why aren't they making anything? Why aren't they bringing back this old stuff? It's because it's not the most profitable thing. So it makes some sense, I guess. Grief says, hold on. Bandai Namco Singapore made Ace Combat 7. There you go. New Star Fox incoming. Next article comes from Games Radar. Ubisoft's remake of the original Splinter Cell is still in development as a familiar face returns to the project. David Greville, former game director on the upcoming release, is now back directing Splinter Cell Remake after leaving the same position over 3 years ago. He confirmed himself the move on LinkedIn, announcing he's back in familiar territory with Sam Fisher, a very special team and project to me, he says in the post. Previously, he held the director's position from November 2021 to October 2022 through Splinter Cell Remake's announcement. Then he exited Ubisoft Toronto to join another major publisher, EA, working on Battlefield 6 with Ridgeline Games until that outfit's closure in March of 2024. Then comes an interesting wrinkle. He rejoined Ubisoft Toronto, but for an unannounced game in summer of 24, only to step away again in December for the since-defunct studio Worlds Untold. And now he's returned to where this cycle started, back guiding Sam Fisher's glorious return to our screens and controllers.
Dude.
Guys, it's been a while since we've seen some Splinter Cell. It's somewhat interesting to talk about David and his journey, but I'm more interested to hear what you guys want or think of a Splinter Cell remake. Obviously, it's not like this is news, but we haven't talked about it.
Dude, I just think that David's getting the bag, dude. First he works on fucking Battlefield 6. He leaves the project, presumably for more money to go to EA, and now he's back. There ain't no way he came back without a fucking fat check attached to that, bro. Good for him. Honestly, God bless. I cannot blame him.
I'm just laughing because he said the project's so special to him, but he left it twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, the money is so special
Yeah.
to him, and I can't blame the guy. It's the way the world, It's extra special now that there's, a nice retirement package.
Absolutely. And I'm sure he was already decently well off. I don't have any actual knowledge of that. I'm just, based on the companies he's worked for and the job positions he's held, he's probably okay.
Now, what I'll say, I'll just get this out of the way. I have no experience with Splinter Cell, so you guys are gonna have to kind of take the reins here. So,
I haven't had Splinter Cell experience probably since the first, or maybe a long time, is what I'll say. Dave, what about you?
Yeah, I'm a big Splinter Cell guy, and this is your annual reminder that Splinter Cell Blacklist is a good game and you should play it. But this update of a game director, sort of someone in this level high up, leaving a project twice and coming back doesn't really fill me with confidence when it comes to what this remake is ultimately going to be like. But we got Metal Gear Solid 3 earlier this year, and that was good. And I always remember the days of like Metal Gear Solid versus Splinter Cell, and I know, they weren't necessarily competitors, but there was a time when sneaky games were like the hot thing.
Yeah.
And I think that era was led by Sam Fisher and Solid Snake. But I don't know. I kind of wish that they would have just taken a bit of an easier route and given us a remaster of the trilogy, like the first 3 games, not like Double Agent and Blacklist and all that stuff, and just kind of focused on a new game, because I would really love to see how Splinter Cell would evolve into like the kind of games we play today, because I don't know that Splinter Cell really fits in all that well. I don't think a remake is going to sell well, but I guess this is a good way to kind of test the waters. But yeah, I don't know. It's I don't have high hopes when the lead on the project leaves twice and comes back. But hey, it's a remake. It's, you're just remaking something, so the architecture and all the design of the original game is already there. So maybe you can't screw it up that bad. Plus, it's Ubisoft, and they seem to be fumbling a lot. So,
Yeah.
we'll see what it's like when it comes out. I'll play it, I'm sure. But if you weren't interested in the originals, I doubt you'll be here for a remake. But yeah, play
So
Blacklist.
my question to you, Dave, is if recently, now I could be wrong because I've played neither one of these games, but it being of a similar cloth, if a game like Snake Eater, a sneaky stealth game, can be re-released today or this year, couldn't a game like Splinter Cell also succeed in that same sort of desirable way?
Probably, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It was a very, I feel like our attention spans have kind of evolved in a way where I feel like a remake of the original Splinter Cell game would not have mass appeal. And I don't know, does Snake Eater have mass appeal? It was a popular game when it came out, so I'm sure it has its fans. And I'm just not sure about Splinter Cell. It was different, you know. But we'll see.
Yeah, Splinter Cell definitely never achieved the levels that Snake Eater did, Metal Gear. But I feel like Metal Gear has gotten even bigger over time, whereas Splinter Cell has been one of those things where we're all like, we want it back. And then we don't actually. I really have a hard time believing that if the metrics showed that this were a highly desirable game in the current day, that they wouldn't have lit a remake or a new game in the series before this. But what do I know?
The trilogy,
The own director of the game can't even decide what he wants to do. So
the series peaked with Chaos Theory, and that was the best-selling game by far. Maybe Double Agent sold well just because it had a really good spot on Xbox 360's sort of launch lineup or launch window. But I kind of talk about how the series evolved, and I think with Double Agent, they tried to take it into, it's still a sneaky game, but we're going to make it kind of cinematic, and it's going to appeal to some of the Call of Duty people and that kind of stuff. And it just didn't really work. I say I like Blacklist because the assassinations you could do, like the ones where you could target a bunch of people and then hit a button and then kill everybody, that was super cool. And it still had some of the old kind of gameplay elements, but it didn't really appeal to people. So that's what makes me really doubt that Splinter Cell in 2025 would have mass appeal.
yeah.
But we'll see, I suppose.
On to the next one. This one from GameSpot. Claire Obscure Expedition 33 has been one of 2025's standout hits, and now it's been confirmed that the game broke records for Xbox Game Pass. Microsoft announced that Expedition 33 has become the biggest new third-party game launch on Xbox Game Pass of 2025, based on the number of unique users in the first 30 days. It's not clear what title Expedition 33 took down to become number one for third-party games on Game Pass. Expedition 33 was developed by Sandfall Interactive, and it was the team's first game. Creative director said, "This year has been so far beyond what any of us could have imagined, and it's down to how passionate and supportive our fans have been to make that a reality." The game launched the same week this past April as Microsoft's own Oblivion Remastered, and some feared that Expedition 33 could be overshadowed by the RPG. However, Sandfall said this was not the case, and that launching close to Oblivion Remastered had no meaningful effect. If anything, this is my interjection, I think Oblivion would have done better if it weren't for Expedition 33, but just my theory. Guy Richards, who works for Xbox, said he understood Sandfall's ambition from the onset of meeting the team. Once we played early builds, we experienced the gripping story, stunning visuals, and the mix of JRPG mechanics with French cultural themes that felt fresh and distinctive. It's the kind of experience we knew Xbox players would love to discover. Broche said taking a deal from Microsoft to put Expedition 33 on Game Pass worked out for the studio and the game in part because it allowed the game to reach people who might not have tried a title like it. Expedition 33 is available still now on Game Pass Ultimate and PC Game Pass, or can be purchased outright for $50. It is on sale right now. Guys, this is obviously no doubt an accomplishment. It's a great thing. The game is beloved. Although even though it's probably my game of the year, I'm getting really sick of you super fans. Like, you're annoying. Stop it. But I do find it funny, the phrasing here. It's the biggest new third-party game launch of 2025 on Game Pass. that seems like such a narrow category to fall into. It's new is a categorization, which I assume that means not a remake, not coming on the Game Pass from somewhere else already, etc. Third party, 2025.
Big.
It is big. Dave, as someone who got filtered by this game and gave up on it,
He's not wrong, ladies and gentlemen.
What do you think of this? I mean, it's not really a surprise to me, but they felt the need to make an announcement.
Yeah, I mean, the story here is exactly what you said. Like, what does this mean? Like, yes, Expedition 33 was a very successful game, but when I think about like big third-party launches on Game Pass, I struggled to kind of recall one. Pal World was the first that came to mind. But I think what bothers me most about this is it kind of underlines the fact that the people who profited most off Expedition 33's success was Microsoft. And
is it?
I mean, if it did this well on Game Pass, it makes me think that it sacrificed full price sales for Sandfall.
But maybe it got more sales because more people found out about it.
Maybe, but if it got this amount of hype without Game Pass, then they would have sold more copies. And I think that would have been a good thing for a small studio like Sandfall that had, kind of the gumption and ambition to put out a game like this. But I can't really blame them because, in 2025, when you're a small studio putting out a new IP and, the angel descends from the heaven that is Game Pass and says, we'll give you a bunch of money if you put it on Game Pass day one, like you'd be dumb not to take it because so many games get lost. But
the sure thing is always tempting, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't know what deal they cut with Microsoft. Maybe
Right.
it was a really, really good one. But in any case, Microsoft profited big off this. But this, Sandfall is going to play the long game. Whatever they come out with next is going to be huge. And it's not going to be day one on Game Pass. I can guarantee you that because they're going to bet on themselves next time. And that's a good thing.
Is Microsoft going to triple down on their investment and give them that much more money?
Maybe, but if I was Sandfall, I'd say nope, we're good. We'll take it. We'll bet on ourselves. But
does that wait? I just had a realization. This announcement was made on December 3rd. Does that mean that Expedition 33 was bigger than the game that broke all the game stores with Silksong? Because Silksong, I don't know. That's a new third-party game launch.
It's been out for 30 days.
It's been out for 30 days. It came out in 2025. I think that probably because that game was $20, more people just bought it rather than played it on Game Pass. If I had to guess, the reason why it would be bigger.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's kind of crazy, though, to think that it launched. More people played it in the first 30 days than played Silksong in the first 30 days on Game Pass. Interesting.
I think a lot of people played it because of Game Pass who wouldn't have otherwise played it.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if I would have taken the plunge at $50 or whatever it launched at if it wasn't on Game Pass. I did really respect it for what it was, but I just, again, as the article suggests, the turn-based gameplay wasn't for me. But yeah, in any case, whatever they come out with next, I really hope they don't go on Game Pass. Nothing against Game Pass, but I think they sacrifice some money there. But again, I probably would have done the same thing had I been in their situation.
Yeah, it's interesting because like as a consumer, Game Pass is great, even though I don't currently have it. But like I think Game Pass is really good, but I also think it can be really bad because it could have been a scenario in which they left money on the table. Who knows? They could have gotten an even bigger bag than they would have gotten if people had bought it outright, especially on Xbox. Who knows? We know that the least amount of game sales happen on Xbox from other stats for most games that are multi-platform. But there is also the very real scenario that like the game could have come out and not been well received, or not as many people would have found out. Like, think about how many people champion that game because they're Game Pass fans, not because they're fans of games. And I'm not meaning that in a like derogatory way towards people. I'm saying like there are people who, if something's on Game Pass, they're going to play it where they may not even be interested in it otherwise. And some of those people have loud voices. So I don't know. I definitely think that it was a coin flip. Like you can't obviously reverse the scenario and play it out differently, but yeah, would that game have made as big of a splash if it weren't for potentially millions of people playing it that wouldn't have just purchased it straight out? I don't know. Brandon, what say you, the man who started this game but also has not finished it, but not because you got filtered like Dave?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was great, and I'm really happy to see it winning. I don't have anything profound to say that hasn't already been said. Yeah, I'm just happy more people are playing it, and happy for the studio really, because even headlines like this continue to spread the good word of a very clearly high quality game from a well-intentioned studio. So
Totally different, but thinking about turn-based has me thinking about Final Fantasy Tactics. And at the time the remake came out, I didn't have the time to play it. But I'm thinking I've got a little Christmas break. I think it might be a good little handheld game for Christmas break.
okay.
Of course, most Christmas breaks, I think I'm going to have a lot of free time, and it ends up being the busiest 2 weeks of the year. But it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Last story comes from Sheep Esports. Call of Duty League, a cut to guaranteed revenues plunges teams into uncertainty. A few days before the resumption of competition on Call of Duty, Activision Blizzard has broken its silence. The FPS publisher has unveiled the new format of the COD League, whose 2026 season will begin on December 5th, while presenting several competitive adjustments. The American giant also announced the return of broadcast on Twitch, as well as the organization of the first major of the year in Paris. The choice is motivated by the enthusiasm generated by Gentlemate's first season, despite mixed results. While these announcements help maintain high expectations around the launch of the new season, another piece of news hit the scene like a ton of bricks. Starting with the 2026 season, the publisher is removing the guaranteed revenue for league teams, historically set at $500,000 per year, a decision pushed by massive operating costs and top players being paid extreme salaries, which can exceed $400,000 per year. As a result, teams fear that operating at too great a loss will force them to revise their ambitions. Already in 2024, the CDL announced two major structural changes: the cancellation of all unpaid entry fees and the reimbursement of fees already paid by teams to the league. According to certain sources, ex-franchise teams thus received $2 million from the publisher. Activision hopes these changes strengthen the long-term viability of the league and increase team revenue through new channels in-game, such as sales or bundles. In the first half of 2025, Activision reportedly sold more than 360,000 skins bearing the likeness of franchise teams. These skins are sold at $12 each, amounting to a total of more than $4.3 million to be shared between the publisher and the teams. Among the top sellers, FaZe Clan is ahead of Thieves by more than 50,000 units. They sold 120,000 plus bundles at mid-year for a total of around 720,000 euros. However, the world champions are almost an exception in a league where the average of over the 2025 period is around 30,000 units sold. Boys, it's interesting because esports is still huge. Call of Duty, though, is on a little bit of a decline. And I wonder if this was something that was decided before. I mean, I say it's on a decline. The game's still making money hand over fist. Don't get me wrong. But it is on a decline. Sales are softer. Probably that also means in-game purchases are softer, etc. Do you think this was a decision that was made beforehand, or was it motivated by the lack of revenue being generated? Brandon, we'll go to you as the former Call of Duty enthusiast.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is wholly because of the decline in sales. I have a bit of a pessimistic outlook on this entire series. If you've listened in the past couple years, it's kind of gotten worse and worse. But I think this is purely a cost-saving benefit to the developer. And I think they've tried to frame it in a really positive way to say that there are other revenue streams for these teams. But at the end of the day, this is a bad thing for them. And I think that they had no other choice, really. Of all the things to cut, It doesn't signal well to me to do something like this. But most games don't have this sort of thing at all, so it would make perfect sense why they would kind of not guarantee the money for this sort of thing. I think it's good for the ecosystem of Call of Duty. I think it brings people back into the game itself. But if I had to guess, if I had to bet, this is because of the poor performance. I would almost guarantee it. And no amount of selling the team's skins is going to recoup the guaranteed money that they had before. So I would understand why they would be upset, because some of these organizations are very large, and they have a lot of expenses. And to not be able to guarantee their players money like they used to is kind of a big deal. And, I feel bad for mostly the people. I have no sympathy for Activision whatsoever.
Davey, let's say you.
I see the numbers that are being thrown around here, and they're like pro athletes, and I know they are. Like esports it's a legitimate thing, and it's a huge business. Yeah, it's just crazy that like the success of these athletes is so tied to something, like the game. Like if the game sucks and people aren't interested in the game, nobody's going to watch the league, and then the league suffers. So it's kind of like it's all on Activision, and one thing kind of complements the other, but it also sinks the other. So these are huge numbers, and it shouldn't surprise me that you can make, $300,000 a year playing Call of Duty if you're really, really good at it. But if the products that they're putting out isn't good, then ultimately everything's going to suffer. So yeah, nothing else to add to what Brandon said, though.
You guys want to talk about what we've been playing?
Sure. Can I go first?
I would love that.
Okay. I have not played a game other than Arc Raiders since the day it came out a month and 3 days ago.
Do you remember? I just want to go back to this real quick. Do you remember what happened the day it came out?
I was playing Battlefield 6.
And we had to bully you into buying it.
I just like to give you a hard time, and that I was going to buy it either way because I liked the server slam, right?
Yeah, but I'm not saying you wouldn't have bought it, but you were like, I'll play it eventually.
That's because I like to jag you guys around.
We had to bully you, Brandon, admit it.
All right. Revisionist history, Ben, over here.
That is not. We did have to bully you into buying it.
Yes, I don't know
not
how
buying it,
I
period,
felt.
but buying it then.
I don't know how I felt that day. You're telling me how I felt that day.
Yes.
You're right, Ben. You're right. You had to bully me.
I have told you about yourself more than you'll ever know. Okay.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Yeah, I played
You're
a lot
welcome.
of it.
That's what I'm saying.
Thank you. Steam says I have about 110 hours or so. I think the in-game counter is closer to 70. So,
well, the in-game counter is the time spent topside. It's not counting your time in Speranza gathering things.
Right. So, I've spent a lot of time playing this game, and I will say I've slowed down just a hair. But the only reason I've slowed down, I will say, is because I wish I'd given myself more time to do the expedition, which is essentially the voluntary wipe system. If I would have started it a week or two ago, I think I would have made it. But now I've waited far too long for it to benefit me in any meaningful way whatsoever, other than just wasting my time. So,
well, you can build you'll keep anything you contribute to your expedition for the next one.
What?
So if you contribute to the expedition but don't leave, those supplies that you've collected will stay until the next expedition.
This is new information.
Are you upset?
This is new information to me. Okay. All right. Well, I gotta go. I gotta go right now. Sorry, boys. It's been fun. This has been the Handsome Phantom podcast. Please like and subscribe. Smash that motherfucking like button. No, but Arc Raiders has been great. It's been so good. I've convinced people to buy it. It took me about 2 weeks of heckling my younger brother. But I even offered to buy it for him. I said, Cameron, I'll buy it for you. Do you want to play it? He says, that's not in the budget. I said, fuck the budget. I'm telling you, I will buy this for you. And he just kept telling me it wasn't in the budget. He's just being a little dickhead. And so he finally bought it. He finally bought it. And he's been playing without me, which means I know he gets it. He
Yeah.
gets it. Because at the beginning, he's like, what's the point? And I'm like, dude, what do you mean? What's the point of playing any video game? It's fun. It's fun. But yeah, it's so good. I love it. I love it. And now I do have a new goal to do the expedition.
I have also been playing a ton. I think my Steam counter says 96 hours. Again, not all of that in game, but all of it with the app open at least. And I am also loving it. I'm thinking about doing the expedition or trying to. It wasn't until this week that I realized. So what I thought originally is I think what you thought. If I contributed to the expedition and then didn't go on it, that I would just lose that stuff. And so it made more sense to me to sell it and just make money to play the game.
Right.
Whereas that's not the case. And apparently they disclosed today or yesterday, the upgrades you get will continue to stay on your character or on your account, whether or not you go on the next expedition, which makes it even more enticing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, it's so much fun. I love the fact that like I have all my workbenches upgraded. Like I've done almost everything I can do in the game. I think I have 2 or 3 more missions I got to do, and it's just about the right time for a wipe, for a reset.
Yeah.
And I know that that's not appealing to a lot of people, but the beauty of this game is it's not like a lot of other games where it's just like you're resetting. We're wiping the servers, you're resetting. This game has the opportunity to not do it if you don't want to, or if you do want to, you get some benefit from it. And it's not just like a number that goes up. It's, you actually get some stats and some cosmetics and stuff like that. So I think that's really cool. So I'm having a ton of fun, and I want to play tonight, which is a lot for me to say after 100 hours of a game that I want to play it. The only reason I didn't play the last couple nights is because I didn't have anybody to play with. And I kind of didn't feel like playing solo, which isn't a bad thing. Like, solo is great in that game. I just was in a want to play with friends mode. So, but Dave, let's go to you before we come back to me.
Sure. I have been playing Assassin's Creed Mirage. Recently released a free DLC. Free. I don't want to call it an update because it's a lot more than an update, but it was free, and it was a brand new story arc called Valley of Memory, and basically there's a quest that starts and it takes you to an entire new map of the game, new explorable area. It's called Al Elam or something like that, and it's a real place. And I'm just blown away because this is free DLC and it's not like a mission. Like it's huge, and I don't know why Ubisoft did this. Like this is an old Assassin's Creed title. The latest game they released was Shadows. This was the sort of spin-off game that came the year before that, which I loved. I called Assassin's Creed Mirage pound for pound the best Assassin's Creed game ever launched. And it's so
put that
fun
on the poster, I think.
Sorry?
They put that on the poster.
Yeah, they should, just with Dave underneath it. And I'm loving this DLC, and it's a pretty deep story. It's all about the main protagonist's dad, who went missing, presumed dead, and suddenly a lead pops up about his dad may have not died and he might be alive. So it's really cool, and it's a lot of fun to come back to this game. You learn about this new area and I think Assassin's Creed has always been good at kind of conveying the culture of where the game is set. And this game kind of takes that to a whole nother level, this DLC, because, you overhear NPCs having conversations, and you can sit down and actually interact with their conversations, and they're telling kind of like these folklore stories that are actually from the area where you are. There's like this whole guitar mini game that you can pick up, And one of the conventional things from Assassin's Creed is like chasing down like letters or whatever that flutter in the wind. And when you chase them down, you can actually get new songs that you can learn to play, and they're actual like traditional folk songs from this era and this kind of land. So yeah, it's really like I can't believe this is just a free update that they just put out there. Like I don't know what Ubisoft stands to gain from this, but they added some other cool they did some enhancements to the parkour and stuff, and I haven't played Mirage since I got the platinum, so it's been 2 years, and I thought the parkour was already really good, but they've enhanced some stuff. But yeah, Valley of Memory, if you own Assassin's Creed Mirage, this is a no-brainer to pick up the game and check this out, because it's a substantial amount of content for free. And if you haven't played the game, and like if you were really into Assassin's Creed in its heyday, i.e., like the Ezio trilogy, I implore you to check out Mirage, because it is such a focused and fun Assassin's Creed game that really kind of goes back to the roots. I know the RPG trilogy has kind of put a lot of people off, and I think Mirage is like the perfect thing to bring you back. And the fact that we're getting like new free content like this just kind of rounds out a really solid package. So, yeah, I know everybody stopped listening because this always happens when I talk about Ubisoft stuff, especially Assassin's Creed. But yeah, so you can tune back in now until we get like free content for Skull and Bones, and I'll talk about that. But yeah, I'm blown away by this. It's so cool.
Have you seen the player accounts for that game recently?
Skull and Bones?
Mhm.
No, I haven't. I got the platinum and forgot about it.
Check it out.
Is it bad?
You guys can
What
keep
did you
talking.
expect?
I'll take a look.
Dave, it's really interesting because you, whose opinion I really respect and appreciate, talk about how great this game is, and there are other people whose opinions I really respect, and both of you have liked Assassin's Creed games, who say it's terrible. So I'm stuck in the middle.
Yeah.
Don't know what to do.
Al Ula in Saudi Arabia is the area that you go to. It's really cool. It's like this oasis desert place with like, it's in the desert, but there's like palm trees and water and stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't know how anyone could say they could hate Assassin's Creed Mirage. It's not a game you can hate, you know. It's
Yeah.
just, yeah. Anyways,
So 305 on Steam as of an hour ago.
That's higher than I thought. Are you talking about for Mirage, or are you talking about for
Skull and Bones.
That's higher than I thought by a lot. Definitely. Ash asked earlier, is it about Arc Raiders? Is it tedious at all, or is getting your stuff back after dying easier than it seems?
It's not that bad.
Yeah, so it sucks to lose like good gear, but if you play it enough, you probably already have another set of gear, or you can buy stuff from the store, or you can go in with free weapons or whatever. If you're talking about after a wipe, obviously a wipe hasn't happened in this game yet. The expedition hasn't happened, but I think the most tedious part of it is going to be finding all the blueprints again.
Yeah.
Although I never really went looking for blueprints in the first place. I just found them up until a certain point, and then I started looking for stuff. That will probably be a little bit irritating and tedious, but I think that's part of the fun of the game. Like the game, the longevity of it depends on people having something to do that's not just the missions that you're presented with and everything at the beginning, because those do run out. And I think for people who just want to keep playing and whatever, and they don't care about progress or feeling like a counter is going up or anything like that, it's totally fine. But for people who are like getting to the end of the content and want something to do, starting over and benefiting from it, not just starting over for the sake of starting over, like in some games, it will be really fun.
I think that the stuff you grind for in this game is the premium or high tier loot. In this game is unique in a way that even the lowest tier loot is viable in most ways. And so
Yeah.
that kind of takes a little bit of the sting out of losing things. Is I feel like it's very balanced regardless of what point in the game you've hopped in or what loadout you want to bring. Most stuff is viable.
Two other games for me. One is Megabonk, which I've talked about extensively on the show. I have now hit the 100-hour mark
Holy
on that
fuck.
game. and most of it is interesting because it's come like one run a day, um, maybe two, most of the time. But I'm doing like I'm pretty much religiously doing like 1 or 2 runs in Megabunk a day, and they can last half an hour or more, depending on what you're doing. I've pretty much I've done everything in the game. I'm just trying to unlock all the everything possible, get all the achievements, that kind of thing. Some of which are really tough. So you spend, let's say the maximum time you could spend in is half an hour. You spend 29 minutes and you die at the last minute or something like that. So that it eats up the progress, but that's part of the fun for me. And just finding new builds and even discovering new things that work together that I didn't experiment with before is really cool. I just unlocked the final character last night that I had never unlocked before, and I hate him. He sucks. Sir Chadwell. I think he's actually really good. It's just that his starting weapon is really bad, so you have to hit the RNG jackpot to make it a worthwhile run, to feel like it's fun. Anyway, Megabonk is probably a game I'll just keep playing little bits at a time for a long time. And I think they're adding a new character or something I maybe saw in the near future. Dave, were you going to say something?
I did. Speaking of Survivor games, Deep Rock Galactic Survivor mobile was featured in the new iPhone commercial.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, there was a commercial for that Apple released, and it's actually got Deep Rock Galactic Survivor in it. So
That's really cool.
What
that's
game
your
is that?
sign, Brandon. Check it out.
What is that?
The last thing I've been playing across the last week or 2 weeks, I guess, since we recorded last, is Escape from Duckov. I have a very, I don't know, maybe 5 to 7 hours in this game, but it is a lot of fun. I mean, it's an extraction shooter that is a PvE entirely game. There's not even an option to play with other people. And you're a duck. So that's the gist of the game. If you've played an extraction shooter, if you've done anything about it, you understand where it's coming from. But unless this game rapidly gets worse or too repetitive or grindy or something along those lines, it's genuinely probably going to be in my top 10 of the year of games that I've played. I'm enjoying it so much. It's so funny. The gameplay is kind of what you expect. So you load in, you do your stuff in your base, whatever. You take a loadout or get some free weapons or whatever. Go out into the world and just explore. And then on your way, you'll find other ducks or penguins or whatever that want to harass you and try to kill you. You have to take them out and then go loot their stuff and loot stuff that's all around the world. Open up new areas of the map, come back to your base, build new things. It's an extraction shooter. It's just, it's not reinventing the wheel. The only unique thing about it is, I shouldn't say the only unique thing, but the big unique thing about it is that you're a duck, and it's called Escape from Duckov. I think it's awesome. I think it's cute. I don't know that I have a lot to say about it, but I've genuinely enjoyed it a ton. And it's I don't know, $12, $15 game, something like that. My buddy Jimmy was like, you have to play it. So I knew I needed to play it before the end of the year to give it a good shake for at least discussions. Even if I don't even know if you can finish it. I don't know what the end game's like, anything like that. But it's an extraction shooter, so I kind of get it. And another game that's fun for me just to hop in, do a single run, and then hop out. And that's pretty much what we've been playing.
That's it.
I forgot to mention something. I pre-ordered a video game since we met last.
Oh,
Whoa.
shit.
Yeah.
What is it?
No surprise what it is. It's Metroid Prime 4.
Oh.
And I did it. I know it's a dirty, disgusting thing to do, but I did it because Metroid Prime 4 comes with a thing. And it's not like a digital thing. It's not a skin or something in game. It's an actual thing. The last time I pre-ordered a game and got a thing was Zelda. The one where you play Zelda, Triforce. What the hell is it called?
Echoes.
Echoes of Wisdom.
Yeah.
And it comes with a card, which I proudly display behind me. So I just want to shout out video game developers for having pre-order bonuses that are actual things. Remember the days when you used to get a thing with it? So with Retro Platform, you get a 3D art card or something like that. I don't even know what it is, but it's something I can hold in my hand, and I want that. So that's what
Nice.
I pre-ordered.
You pre-ordered the game physically, I assume, as well.
Physically.
Yeah.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
the only platform I can do that on.
Yeah.
So I'll go and get that tomorrow, and I'm very excited for it. So shout out to everybody who's playing Metroid Prime 4 tomorrow, or maybe today, or on
Nice.
the weekend.
Ash mentioned Abiotic Factor is a really cool indie I recently found out about. I've had that game on my list since it came out, since before it came out on my wish list. And I've never taken the plunge, even though I've heard great things. I think it's on sale for like $10 right now. Maybe I should. See, the problem is I have so much to play right now that if I buy it, then I won't play it until they put it on an even deeper sale at some point. And then I'll have spent more money than I needed to. And that makes me angry when I do that. So I don't know what my point is. I've seen some physical pre-order bonuses for Metroid Prime 4, but none in the States.
Oh, Canada. Here we go.
Oh, Canada. Must be looking at the wrong places. Go to wherever they sell Pop-Tarts and play Creed music, and you'll probably find them, Derek. All right, everybody. That's all she wrote for tonight. Appreciate you hanging out. Don't forget to check us out on Patreon. Hang out in the Discord. Leave a review on iTunes. I don't know. What do people say about podcasts anymore? Do all of it.
Look us up on Yellow Pages.
Check out our Yelp page.
Search us on MapQuest.
There you go. All right, ready?
Add us on MySpace.
AOL.
You can check out our top 8 on MySpace.
Yeah.
The Google.
Is MySpace still around?
Yeah.
Is it?
That's
Still streams
disappointing.
music
MySpace.
It's crazy.
back to its roots.
Oh, it's still a website, yeah.
It was real broken for a while. I tried to go in and get some old pictures that I didn't upload to Google Photos from when I was a teen, and they did not exist.
My computer is trying desperately to load MySpace. There's too much culture. It's not doing it.
All right, everybody. Have a great night.